Senate Bill 219 by Senator Ginn of the 47th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title III of the OCGA relating to alcoholic beverages so as to provide for regulation of the manufacture, distribution, and sale of malt beverages, to provide a definition, to permit small brewers to sell a limited quantity of malt beverages at retail on the premises for consumption on and off of the premises, and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Cowser of the 46th. Regulated Industries and Utilities offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 219, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title III of the OCGA relating to alcoholic beverages so as to provide for regulation of manufacture, distribution, and sale of malt beverages, to provide for the transfer of a limited quantity of malt beverages by brewers that may be sold at a retail or at wholesale subject to certain conditions, and for other purposes. This completes the order, Mr. President.
The senator from the 47th has moved to take Senate Bill 219 from the table. Is there objection? Hearing no objection, Senate Bill 219 is removed from the table, and the senator from the 47th is recognized to speak to the bill. Come on, Frank.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I was just shaking hands with my good state representative, Alan Powell, the chairman of Regulated Industries over in the House. Said, let's give him a round of applause. Glad to have him over here. You know, this bill, it's kind of funny. You wear a couple hats here in the Senate. We're all for business, and then I get to wear the hat of transportation. Well, this is moving a little business from one side of town to the other. Basically, what this bill does is to allow the transportation of beverage, we'll call it, from one location to another, from one brewery to another. It's a good business bill. It's one that I was really pleased, and I want to thank the members of the Georgia Beer Wholesalers and the Georgia Brewers Guild for getting together and working this out. It's fully supported by all of our folks out in the industry, and I'll ask for your favorable consideration. Unless there's questions about the bill, I'll yield the floor.
Senator, you have no questions. Does any senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The chair hears none. The senator. The question of the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none. The main question is now ordered. The question of the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed vote nay. Mr. Secretary, if you unlock the machines. Got a couple of folks on the way. Countdown, here we go. Mr. Secretary, if you'll lock the machines. The yeas are 42 and the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. I recognize the senator from the 16th.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, I request that we remove SR 143 from the table.
Mr. Secretary, if you'd read the caption.
Senate Resolution 143 by Senator Harbin of the 16th and others, a resolution appointing the honorary position of General Assembly Chaplain and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Rules recommends that this resolution do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Mullis of the 53rd. This completes the order, Mr. President.
The senator from the 16th has moved to remove SR 143 from the table. Is there objection? Hearing no objection, SR 143 is removed from the table, and the senator from the 16th is recognized to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate the opportunity to present this to you. I think it's interesting. This bill is for the General Assembly to recognize the chaplain's position, and its purpose, I think, is very interesting. The purpose is to provide additional sources of spiritual and mental health services to members of the General Assembly. Now, after this morning of alcohol and gambling, we need that chaplain as quickly as possible. Hear, hear. Thank you. And unless there's question, and that's what this is about. Any questions?
Senator, you do have questions. Senator from the 43rd, you recognized for a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does a gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a fiscal note attached to this position?
I believe he is doing it as unto the Lord.
So do you yield for further questions?
One more.
So Jesus paid it all?
Absolutely. Amen.
The senator knows of what she speaks. Whoa, Senator, you still have questions. Senator from the 28th, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes.
Senator, do you yield?
Yes, sir.
Are we actually going to get to vote on this one?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you.
You have no more questions.
Thank you, sir.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. There is the objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which is favorable to the adoption of the resolution. The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none. The question is ordered. Question on the adoption of the resolution. All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. Mr. Secretary, if you would unlock the machines. Mr. Secretary, if you'll unlock the machines. The yeas are 39, the nays are 2. This resolution having received the requisite constitutional majority is therefore passed. I recognize the senator from the 29th.
Mr. Leader, I'd like to ask that Senate Bill 152 be removed from the table.
The senator from the, Mr. Secretary, if you'd read the caption.
Senate Bill 152 by Senator Robertson of the 29th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 3 of Title 50 of the OCGA, relating to the state flag and other flags, so as to add language to the Pledge of Allegiance to the state flag, provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Government Oversight recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Harbin of the 16th. This completes the order, Mr. President.
The senator from the 29th has moved that SB 152 be removed from the table. Is there objection? Hearing no objection, SB 152 is removed from the table, and the senator from the 29th is recognized to speak to the bill.
My colleagues, each day in this chamber and at schools throughout the state of Georgia, men, women, and children stand and recite the pledge to the Georgia state flag. They pledge their allegiance to wisdom, justice, and moderation, and in many times I'm not sure that they even understand where it comes from. As an elementary student in the state of Georgia, it was a requirement in Georgia history that we pass the class to be able to move forward. And so from that time, sitting in the back a few weeks back, listening to one of our ministers speak to us after we had said the pledge, it struck me of a void that exists there. For those of you who may be aware, such as the Dean of the Senate, who may have been here in 1799 when our seal was first approved, or maybe he was here in 1914 when it was adjusted, and then in 135 when our pledge was added, and I know that the rules chair was here in 2005 when it was decided that both sides would stand up every morning and after pledging the American flag would offer the pledge to the Georgia flag. And I'm honored to be in the chamber that holds that tradition close to heart, because one thing we can't forget is that we're here to serve the state of Georgia first. And so, for those of you who may not know, the pledge came from the Cardinal Virtues that were brought forth by Plato and Socrates and carried into the church by St. Peter. And those virtues were wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage. And when you look at our seal today, you may say that you see three of those and you don't see the fourth, but the fourth is there. We see wisdom wrapped around one of the pillars. We see justice wrapped around the second pillar, and we see moderation around the third. And where you see courage is that paladin standing there with the sword drawn to protect those three things that are extremely important to our state. Because if we do not have the courage to speak the truth and to do what we're supposed to do during the time we're in this chamber and the time God has allowed us on this earth, then we do not deserve to serve the people of Georgia. So while some of these things may seem lighthearted and some of these things may seem not as important, I promise you the tradition of dedicating yourself to the state of Georgia, to the symbols that represent this state, are extremely important. Tradition is important to the people that we serve. So if there aren't any questions, Mr. President, I yield the well and encourage my fellow senators to support this legislation, and let's send a strong message across the hall that every elected official in this building needs to stand up every time they're here and pledge to the flag that represents our state. Thank you, Mr. President.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? I beg your pardon, Senator. Senator from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. President. In terms of what the senator from the 29th was talking about, I agree with much of what he said. That's not really why I rise today. The deal is, our motto is wisdom, justice, and moderation. On our seal, it's wisdom, justice, and moderation. In our creed, it's justice, wisdom, and moderation, and has been since the Georgia Constitution in 1798. I like the word courage, right? I like a lot of other words too. Doesn't mean I think they needed to be added to our motto. And so when we talk about history and honoring history and carrying that forth, we need to stick with where we came from. The three pillars that we're founded on, the three principles: wisdom, justice, and moderation. That's what the founders thought was important and what they chose. And I don't think that we should be messing with it. I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Hearing none. Is there objection to the agreeing of the report of the committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is the objection to the main question ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is now ordered. The question is the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed vote nay. Mr. Secretary, if you unlock the machines. Are the hallways clear? Mr. Secretary, if you'll lock the machines. Stand by. The yeas are 30, the nays are 14. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. The chair calls upon the senator from the 28th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we get SB 145 off the table.
The senator from the 28th has moved that we remove SB 145 from the table. Is there objection? Oh, Mr. Secretary, if you'll read the caption.
Senate Bill 145 by Senator Brass of the 28th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 4 of Title 3 of the OCGA relating to local authorization regulations for manufacture, distribution, and package sales of distilled spirits so as to modify the petition requirements for initiating a referendum election for the authorization of the issuance of licenses for the package sale of distilled spirits, to provide for an additional method of initiating such a referendum election, and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Kauser of the 46th. Senator Mullis of the 53rd and others offers the following Amendment 1 to amend Senate Bill 145 by deleting "to provide an additional method of initiating such a referendum election" on line 5, by deleting "and the nullification thereof" on line 7, by replacing lines 17 and 18 with the following: "Distilled spirits may be initiated upon a written petition containing the signatures, and for other purposes." This completes the order, Mr. President.
Senator from the 28th has moved to take Senate Bill 145 from the table. Is there objection? Hearing no objection, Senate Bill 145 is removed from the table, and the senator from the 28th is recognized to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of this body, as you're going to see, I've got 2 liquor bills here in a row, and the pandemic has affected us all in different ways, and quarantining with a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 4-year-old has pushed me to push liquor bills, I guess. But all jokes aside, currently, the current law, in order to get package sales on the ballot for a vote, you have to have 35% of registered voters in that particular county or that particular city in order to get it on the vote or get it on the ballot. So this bill does two things. Number one, I'm lowering that threshold from 35% to 20%. So that option is still available. So if you can get 20% of registered voters to sign a petition, you can get it on the ballot. I'm adding a second option that allows the local government, the local county, the local city, to place it on the ballot by passing either a resolution or an ordinance. If they should pass that locally, it will then go to the ballot for a vote by the people. And should it pass there, then the local government has the authority to allow package sales in that particular county or that particular city. They don't have to act on it. And that's it. That's what the bill does. I'll yield for questions.
Senator, you have no questions.
Great. I ask for your favorable consideration of this great bill. Thank you.
Call upon the senator from the 53rd to speak to his amendment.
Mr. President, look at him. Let's talk about the amendment. I want to commend my good friend, the Dean of the Senate, only by tenure, not by age, the senator from the 15th. He and I have come up with this amendment. Now, 35% or whatever it was ridiculous. I always thought that was bad. But I don't know if you've heard, but part of our motto is moderation. Wisdom, justice, and moderation. Well, to moderate this change, our bill is recommending that we put a 20% petition in, and then it goes before the city council or the county commissioners or whoever is in charge of the jurisdiction. But going from 35 to 0 and just having the jurisdiction to make that decision, I think it's too quick, too fast, too soon. So this moderates that. Be glad to answer any questions, and I yield the way if I have no questions.
You have no questions.
Thank you.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Hearing none, the question of the adoption of amendment by the senator from the 53rd. Is there objection to the adoption of the amendment? Hearing none, you got to speak up. There is objection. All those in favor of the adoption of the amendment will rise, stand, and be counted. Rise, stand, and be counted. Those in objection, rise, stand, and be counted. I'm sorry, those in favor, I'm sorry. Those in favor of the amendment, rise, stand, and be counted. Hey, let's do this. Let's reset. Everybody sit down. Let's reset. There is an objection. All those in favor, say roll call. Put it on the board, Mr. Secretary. All those in favor vote yea. All those opposed vote nay. The Secretary unlock machines. Senator from the 53rd.
Parliamentary Inquiry.
What's your inquiry?
Isn't the question on the board, if you are in favor of Amendment 1, vote green. If you're against, vote red?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Recognize Senator from the Northwest Georgia.
Thank you. Mr. President, this is a bipartisan amendment where my friend from the 15th and I work together to moderate this issue.
The senator knows of what he speaks. Are the hallways clear? The nays are 28. Close the machines, Mr. Secretary. The yeas are 28. The nays are 28. The yeas are 18. This measure has failed. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed vote nay. Mr. Secretary, unlock the machines. The senator from Chickamauga was recognized.
Parliamentary Inquiry.
What's your inquiry?
Isn't it true that my moral compass will not allow me to vote for this today?
Your moral compass is due north. Are the hallways clear? The hallways are clear. The yeas, Mr. Secretary, if you lock the machines, the yeas are 35, the nays are 12. This measure receiving the requisite constitutional majority is therefore passed. I recognize the senator from the 28th.
Mr. President, I move that we take SB 236 off the table.
Mr. Secretary, read the caption, please.
Senate Bill 236 by Senator Brass of the 28th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Title III of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to alcoholic beverages so as to allow food service establishments licensed to sell distilled spirits for consumption on the premises, to sell mixed drinks for off-premises consumption in approved containers under certain conditions and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Cowsert, 46th District Chair. Amendment number 1 by Senator Brass of the 28th. Amend Senate Bill 236 by replacing line 36 with the following: date and time of such purchases sold for personal use and not for resale and picked up in person by the same individual customer to whom the mixed drinks and entrees were sold and from whom the food service establishment received payment and for other purposes. Amendment number 2 by Senator Brass of the 28th offers amend Senate Bill 236 by replacing 4.5 ounces with 3 ounces on line 27. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The senator from the 28th has moved to take SB 236 from the table. Is there objection? Hearing no objection, Senate Bill 236 is removed from the table, and the senator from the 28th is recognized to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm starting to catch a buzz from all these bills here. So, I bring you Senate Bill 236. And once again, one thing we learned during the pandemic was our hospitality industry was hit very, very hard. Restaurants were hit very, very hard. And as they fought very hard to keep food on the table for their workers, and so that they did that by putting food on our tables. And so all we're simply trying to do here is give them one more tool to bounce back. And that tool is going to be in the form of a screwdriver. And that screwdriver is to go. So what this bill does, current law allows beer and wine to go at restaurants. So we are simply adding mixed drinks to this repertoire for our restaurants. again, so that they can bounce back from the devastation that they faced over this past year. And we're putting some regulations on here. It has to be in a sealed container, cannot have a straw hole in that container. It has to be placed in a locked glove box or in a trunk or perhaps behind the third seat of an SUV. One thing we heard in committee on Monday as the president presented my bill, as I could not be here, one concern we had, or that was heard, was that this container can contain no more than 4.5 ounces of distilled spirits. And so, kind of heeding to that call and that concern, Amendment 1 addresses that. I'm taking it from 4.5 to 3.0 ounces of distilled spirits. We are limiting the drinks to 2 drinks per entree. And the second amendment simply outlaws third-party delivery, such as your Ubers, your DoorDash. And quite honestly, long-term, I'm in favor of that, because to me, the idea and the intent here is to get less people on the road with alcohol. Let's get them home. Let's get them in safe places, not behind the wheel of a car. But there's an issue with liability when you have the third parties delivering these. So until we can get that liability issue out, we're simply going to ban it, and this is so it makes it is in-person cocktails to go. With that, I will yield for questions.
You have questions, Senator. Senator from the 29th is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Senator. Does the senator yield?
Of course, to my good friend from the 29th.
Senator, would I be correct to say that I do not partake in drinking alcohol?
No, sir, you prefer a much more dangerous drug and caffeine.
Thank you, sir. Does the senator further yield?
I do.
Senator, in your district, when you go and if you should ever go to a package store and purchase a bottle of whiskey or a beer or something like that, are you required to put it in the glove box or in the back of your vehicle or behind the seat or anywhere to be able to transport it home?
If you get it to go from a restaurant, you are, yes.
Okay, so you're currently getting it from a restaurant in your district, and they're bringing it out and putting it in the glove box? Or
I've actually never tried it, so I don't know.
Yeah. So does the senator further yield?
I do.
So the liability that you're concerned about with the third party where the cocktails are, they're providing this in a sealed container. And so you're concerned about the liability of the third party. Do we have that same concern when they go into a liquor store and purchase it, whether it's whiskey or beer?
That would be a different question for a different law.
Thank you, Senator. And the amount that you're reducing it, is that an amount that is consistent with the rights that an individual would have if they went and purchased it at one of those package stores? Or could they purchase more than what you're allowing in this legislation to transport home?
This is for restaurants only. This is not for package sales. That was the last bill.
Right.
We are only dealing with restaurants. And so we have defined what a mixed drink is, and we are saying that a mixed drink is no more than 3.0 ounces. The way we came up with that number is a standard pour is 1.5 ounces, and then you have a non-alcoholic beverage mixed with it, so 1.5 ounces. Now, some martinis call for 2.0, 2.2 ounces, and then some people prefer a double Jack and Coke, and so I didn't want to rule them people out, so we're allowing 3.0, which is 2 standard pours.
Yes, sir. And for one final question, do you yield?
I do, but you're not helping me here.
Well, and to be honest with you, Senator, the individuals I represent are in District 29, so those are the ones I'm trying to help.
A lot of good restaurants down there.
A lot of good restaurants that would like to be able to participate fairly in this, because
Correct.
you are absolutely correct that without the opportunity to do this, the pandemic would have absolutely put many more out of business than it did.
You're
And
exactly right,
And what
Senator.
I would like to see is fair treatment of both of the types of business.
I
but
understand your
Thank you,
concern.
Senator.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Great questions.
Senator from the 1st, you're recognized.
Does Senator yield?
I certainly do.
Just help me understand the liability issue here that you're concerned about.
Sure. So right now, when these third-party deliveries, they're having the restaurants sign contracts on who's liable. And a lot of these mom-and-pop restaurants, you know, just don't have legal counsel to sit there. And so really what it says is if a third party picks up and they have a car crash delivering that food, then the restaurant is actually liable. So in order to get around that, because we're now entering alcohol into the equation, and we're just simply going to ban it from that even happening. That's the issue with the liability.
Just can I follow up?
Of course.
I'm still not quite following you. So if they pick up food and they drive it to someone's home and they have a wreck, they're liable for
The restaurant, if the contracts, most of these contracts for these restaurants say that the restaurant would be liable if a DoorDash or an Uber or other third party, if they have a wreck, the restaurant is liable. Yes, that is correct.
So if for the delivering food, they're liable.
Correct. And if we were to allow this in the alcohol, of course the restaurant would be liable too, but we just to not get in the middle of a liability debate, we just made it easy, and until that can get worked out, we're just going to outlaw it for now. Great question, though. Thank you.
Senator, you have no further questions.
Thank you, Senator. I encourage everyone to give favorable consideration to both amendments and also to Senate Bill 236. Thank you. I'll yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? The question is on the adoption of Amendment Number 1 by the senator from the 28th. Is there objection to the adoption of the amendment? There is an objection. All those in favor of the adoption of Amendment Number 1 will vote yea. Those against it will vote nay. Mr. Secretary, if you unlock the machines. State your inquiry.
Mr. President, is it not true that the Restaurant Association did request both these amendments?
The senator knows very well of what he speaks. The Restaurant Association did request this legislation. Mr. Secretary, if you would lock the machines, the yeas are 35, the nays are 9. This measure, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Now the question is on Amendment Number 2. Is there objection? Hearing none. You got to speak up. Hearing there is objection. All those in favor of adoption number 2 will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. Mr. Secretary, if you unlock the machines. Senator from the 41st, would you approach? Senator from the 41st, would you approach? Mr. Secretary, if you lock the machines. The yeas are 34, the nays are 7. This measure having received the requisite constitutional majority is therefore passed. The question, is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is objected to the main question now ordered? The chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question on the passage of the bill as amended. All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed vote nay. Mr. Secretary, if you unlock the machines. Mr. Secretary, if you lock the machines. Hustle, hustle. On the adoption of on the passage of the bill, yeas are 36 and nays are 10. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Thank you, Mr. President.
I leave for 20 minutes, and y'all are talking about mixed drinks and margaritas and double Jack and Cokes. What in the world's happened up here? Haven't you had enough time on the mic already? Chair recognizes. For what purpose does the pro tem rise?
Parliamentary Inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it here we're for a good time, not for a long time? Let's get to it.
It's Friday. It's only 2:15. We got a few more hours. Chair recognizes the minority whip for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to take Senate Bill 78 off the table.
Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption?
Senate Bill 78 by Senator Jones of the 22nd and others. Bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 3 of Chapter 11 of Title 16 of the OCGA relating to invasion of privacy so as to revise the prohibition on electronically transmitting or posting nude or sexually explicit photographs or videos for purposes of harassing the depicted person and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District. The Senate Committee on Judiciary offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 78. Bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 3 of Chapter 11 of Title 16 of the OCGA relating to invasion of privacy so as to revise the prohibition on electronically transmitting or posting nude or sexually explicit photographs or videos for the purposes of harassing the depicted person and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The minority whip has moved that Senate Bill 78 be taken from the table. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and Senate Bill 78 is removed from the table. The chair recognizes the minority whip to present the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a bill dealing with image sexual abuse, which is also commonly termed as what they call revenge porn. The correct actual statement is image sexual abuse. So under current law, you have electronic transmitted posts that depict nudity or sexually explicit conduct. If you do that, it serves no legitimate purpose, it's for harassment, or it can cause financial loss. It's a high and aggravated misdemeanor. But there's actually a new way of doing this, and that is where you actually take the same type of conduct and you actually put that material onto a adult website. So what this bill says that if you were to do that to an adult website, instead of being a high and aggravated misdemeanor, it will actually be a felony to actually fit the potential reach, which is 3.5 billion people a year, 120 million per month. This bill is not done in a vacuum. It comes about from various articles from the New York Times, which talks about the fact that 18-year-olds have been placed on these sites. Many have tried to commit suicide. One received 400 text messages where she was called a whore and was told to kill herself, and she tried to. The Guardian actually did a expose on this particular problem, saying that one of the more notable porn sites who was doing coronavirus relief should not worry about coronavirus relief, but they should worry about their real pandemic, which is revenge porn. Based on these articles and others, MasterCard and Visa now no longer allow their products to be used on these sites because of this revenge porn or image sexual abuse. Congress is actually working on a bipartisan legislation to allow persons to sue these companies if they do not verify that this is actual consensual. And one major outlet actually now mandates that all your posts have to be verified, and when they did that, they lost over 5 million videos because they could not be authenticated as consensual. This is not this is not a crime of passion. It is exactly what we labeled it as, image sexual abuse. It is not revenge for revenge porn. Revenge means you retaliated against somebody doing you wrong. No one has done anybody wrong in this circumstance. It's just that they have broken up with somebody. And none of these actions are consensual. So what we're doing here is we're actually fitting the conduct to the crime. And so where you have a situation where you have a young lady who goes to a prosecutor and says that I have over, and these are stories that have been told, over 400,000 hits on videos or pictures of me. I have received over 1,000 text messages asking me to kill myself and that I'm a whore, that I'm afraid to go out and actually apply for any particular job. I'm now cutting myself and I've tried to hang myself twice because of this. That type of reach and that type of conduct, misdemeanor does not fit. And so when you do that to an adult website, this bill states that it will be a felony. With that, Mr. President, I will entertain any questions.
You have no questions.
Thank you. I yield the will.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against Senate Bill 78? The chair sees none. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to adoption of the committee substitute? The chair hears none, and the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 46, the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. For what purpose does the senator from the 17th rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, isn't it true that while you were gone, we talked a lot about liquor, but as soon as you got back, we started talking about porn?
You're not recognized for that motion or whatever. Yes, I am officially speechless. Well said. All right, chair recognizes the senator from the 41st.
Mr. President, I move that we take SB 75 from the table.
Mr. Secretary, please read the caption of Senate Bill 75.
Senate Bill 75, a bill to be by Senator Jackson of the 41st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 44-7-23 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to termination of residential lease after issuance of civil family violence order or criminal family violence order notice and occupancy, so as to provide for lease terminations for victims of stalking and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chair. The Senate Judiciary Committee offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 75. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 7 of Title 44 of the OCGA relating to general provisions regarding landlord and tenant so as to provide for lease terminations for persons protected by civil stalking orders and criminal stalking orders and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
It is the chair's honor to recognize the freshman senator from the 41st to present Senate Bill 75. They've already got questions.
Thank you, Mr. President, and much gratitude to this august body as you consider this bill favorably. This bill is quite simple, actually. It is what we call a cleanup bill. This great august body, just a few years ago, passed a bill that determined that if you were a victim of domestic violence, and if you went to the courts and got a TPO, or if you had a police report along with that, that you could get out of your lease without penalty as long as you gave 30 days notice. So we're just coming back around and doing the same thing for victims of stalking. What this bill requires is that you do have to go before a judge to receive a temporary protective order along with a police report, or there has to be criminal stalking charges against someone who is stalking you. I am grateful that this bill has bipartisan support and the support of many, many women's advocacy groups. Also, I think it's important to note that the apartment associations and the realtors are in agreement with this because, quite frankly, they don't want this kind of behavior on their properties. They would much rather people be able to move to safety. So with that, I'm ready. I yield for questions.
Chair recognizes the senator from Roswell to your left.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does the senator yield?
Absolutely.
Senator, isn't it true we've enjoyed working together, and you've been a great addition to a public safety committee in this body, and you just bring just foresight and knowledge about this important bills? Isn't that true?
The senator knows of what he speaks.
Well, Senator, then I'm sure that this next series of questions, if you'll yield for them, will come very easily to you.
I yield.
So on line 25, under Section B, it says any ex parte. Could you explain to us, body, what that means, ex parte?
Yeah, so it means that if a person goes to a judge to seek a temporary restraining order and there's notice given to the accused person that you're accusing them of stalking, but if they don't show up, if they're absent, you can still get this temporary restraining order in the absence of the accused person being there.
Very good. And would you yield for another question?
Absolutely.
On line 36, you're referencing Article 7, Chapter 5 of Title 16. Could you give us a brief overview of what that statute says? Take your time, Senator. We wanted to get home today.
Yeah, sure. You know, the good thing about being a preacher is that I don't have to know everything. I just have to know people who know everything. So let me get back to you on that.
Senator, yield?
I sure do.
So you believe in forgiveness, is that what you're saying?
I absolutely, and I hope you believe in grace.
Indeed. Isn't it true that I believe that was well played? Final question, Senator, if you'd yield.
Yes, I do.
So this is your first bill, is that correct?
That's correct.
So I was curious, on line 69 of this bill, you are repealing other laws that are in conflict with this bill. Obviously, this being such an important bill, could you just detail which laws and you're just going to repeal because of this new act?
Well, mainly we're going to repeal the law that says that this was going to go in effect back in a time period that's already passed, July 1st of 2018. We're going to repeal that because that's in conflict and not make this work until after the governor's signature or until July.
Very good. Final question for you,
Yes,
Senator.
sir, I yield.
We had a great bill from the senator from the 29th. We talked about the state seal of Georgia and wisdom, justice, moderation, courage, and we could also do brevity. Isn't that not true today?
Indeed. Thank you, sir.
Great job.
Does any other senator have a question? Chair recognizes the senator from the 33rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does the senator yield?
Yes, Mr. Sweetmate, I happily yield.
I just want to let everybody know that I've been fortunate to have the senator as my suite mate, and she's doing a fine job.
Thank you, sir.
And we thank you for bringing this bill. But I noticed when you were answering the senator's questions, your lips were moving.
Yes, sir.
That tells me one day you'll probably be a good politician.
Thank you, sir.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 28th, the Brace for Impact senator.
All right, Brass. Oh, I apologize. The senator from the 28th.
Please refer to senators by their district.
Got you. The senator from the 28th. Yes, please.
Mr. President, we on? Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, do you yield?
Yes, I do, Senator from the 28th.
So I want to go back to this line 25 and make sure I understand what we're trying to do here. So you're saying if my ex partes, they can't stalk me? Is that not true?
Senator.
And if they do, I can move? Is that what we're saying here?
Senator, I believe you know of what you speak.
Actually, I don't. Senator, do you further yield?
You can't laugh at your own jokes.
Yes, sir.
I've done it my whole life, Mr. President. I'm done. Does the senator yield? I'm not done.
The senator yields, yes.
Senator, I want to refer to line 21. Can you explain to me how you can civilly stalk someone?
Well, in this definition, it means that I'm not going to bring you to criminal charges, but I'm just going to take you to court where you're on at risk of going to jail. But to answer your real question, I don't know that it's possible to civilly, with good conscience, stalk somebody. Those probably are contradictory.
I agree, Senator, and I think you're a good senator, and this is a good bill.
Thank you, sir.
Do you continue to yield?
Absolutely.
The chair recognizes the senator from the 10th.
Thank you, Mr. President. The senator yield?
I do.
Senator, did I hear in your opening remarks that you were plagiarizing bills from last year?
The senator, sure. It wasn't exactly a plagiarizing. I've cited my sources in this, so we're good.
Senator, further yield?
Absolutely.
I don't believe that was a really good answer again, Senator. Let me try again.
Okay.
You also mentioned that you were cleaning up from last year. Are you saying that this bill was dirty last year?
So, Senator, where I come from, when you don't complete a job, it is considered in need of cleanup.
Thank you, Senator. Good bill.
Thank you.
By the grace of God, you have no more questions.
Oh, thank you. With no more questions? Wait, I was waiting for the distinguished rules chair.
He waves.
I yield.
Suggest yourself blessed. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against Senate Bill 75? The chair sees none. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to adoption of the committee substitute? Chair hears none, and the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? We got one more coming in. I bet I know his name. Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 48, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite of the constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Congratulations, Senator. Chair recognizes the senator from the 45th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request that Senate Resolution 39 be removed from the table.
Ms. Secretary, please read the caption.
Senate Resolution 39 by Senator Dixon of the 45th and others. A resolution recognizing the Honorable Charlotte Nash and dedicating an intersection in her honor and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Transportation recommends that this resolution do pass. Respectfully submitted by the Senator of the 42nd District Chair, 47th District. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The senator from the 45th has moved that Senate Resolution 39 be taken from the table. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and Senate Resolution 39 is taken off the table. The chair recognizes the senator from the 45th to present the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. I come to the well today to present Senate Resolution 39. It's to rename the intersection of State Route 316 and Harbin's Road, which is currently being converted to a limited access interchange, to Charlotte Nash intersection. Charlotte Nash dedicated her entire career to Gwinnett County. Starting fresh out of college, she worked her way up to finance director and then moved on to county administrator. before retiring. Then she was elected as our chairwoman for 10 years. And when she was first elected as our chairwoman, she came into office during the Great Pandemic, not the pandemic, but the Great Recession rather, and played a big part in keeping our AAA bond rating. And with that, I'll yield the well for questions.
The freshmen are still getting used to this. You can't yield the well for questions, but that's just technical. You have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against Senate Resolution 39? The chair sees none. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage, on the adoption of the resolution? All those in favor of the resolution vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? Have all senators voted from the 16th district? Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. On the adoption of the resolution, the yeas are 47, the nays are 1. The resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Chair recognizes the majority leader for a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Monday, 8 March 2021.
Mr. Secretary, will you please make your announcements?
The Senate Committee on Rules will meet upon adjournment. All of Monday's committee meetings will be canceled with the exclusion of the Rules Committee, which will meet upon adjournment of Monday's session. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the pro tem for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief and to the point. I chaired this with the majority caucus this morning. We have testing Monday morning. Yesterday, we had a very, very low number of tests taken. We have done you guys have done a great job, an excellent job. In Hall County, the tests were 33% positive. Here at the Capitol, we're less than 1% positive. A few weeks ago, it was 33%. We're less than 1%. Great job. Get your test on Monday morning, please. 7 to 11 downstairs. Thank you, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the Rules Chairman for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rules Committee meeting will meet at our dinner break tonight.
That's a bad joke.
I was just saying if there's weight. Just want to let you know, Rules meeting begins soon after session here, and momentarily we're getting our yellow sheet printed. It's a little longer than normal, but so come up and enjoy yourself while we wait on the yellow sheet. But Mr. President, thank you. We're ready to start placing the right bills on the floor for Monday today. Thank you.
Any other senator have an announcement? Good work today. The majority leader has moved that the Senate stand adjourned until Monday, March 8th. Security. Get the sergeant at arms over here. Where was I at? Adjourned until Monday, March 8th, 2021 at 10 a.m. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying. All those opposed? And the ayes have it. Senate stands adjourned for the weekend.